Hello, hello, hello. Mo the Goddess here. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome in, look around, check out some of my other videos, see if there's something that resonates with you. And if so, make sure you like, comment. I always answer back, share. And if you're going to do all that, you may as well subscribe. But when you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you are aware when I upload more amazing videos such as this. So let me tell you why this particular video is amazing. It's amazing because it's coming to you at the right time for the right reasons to encourage and inspire you to what you already know. So if you are someone who is feeling like you're in a place where you're stuck, you're feeling stressed out, you're feeling like you have no direction, you're feeling unfulfilled, then I'm talking to you. Okay. So your spirit is calling you. Your spirit is telling you all the things that you need to know, but you haven't practiced hearing, activating, tapping into to really understand that what you hear is your next best steps. So you're probably in a place where you feel stuck. I know that feeling because I've been there. I've always been a single mother raising two sons by myself here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm from. And I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada now. I live in Bali, Indonesia, and I moved there in 2020. So let me tell you how it all unfolded. My son came home on graduation day and he told me that he was moving out the house. I figured, okay, you think you grown, go on and do your thing then. Go on out there and do your thing. And it wasn't even a week that had passed before I realized, oh my God, I never considered that one day my kids would be grown, they would move out, they would have their own lives. I never even looked at that. I was always in survival mode, always in struggle mode, always in just go, 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 trying to make sure that my sons were not the typical statistics of Black boys being raised by a single mother, right? So, with that being said, I always had two jobs, a side hustle, just like I said, just on the hamster wheel, just going. And when my kid came home and he was like, I'm moving out, within a couple days, I remember waking up on that weekend and I heard so loudly the echo of silence. So that's when it occurred like, okay, you have done the single mother thing so well, you've mastered that. But what you have not mastered is now the single woman. So, what is it that you want now? What is it that you want to do with your life? What is it that you're going to do with your life? And like I said, I'd always had two jobs and a side hustle. And I remember that weekend, like it was like heavily on my mind, like, what is it that I want to do in my life now? I had clients come into my house where I was training them in my garage. I was a personal trainer. And I had a job where I was a truck driver. And it was, it was just heavy on me for that whole weekend. And I started thinking, now you have to figure out what you want to do. You don't have to work all these jobs. What are you going to do for you now? Your kids are gone, they grown, they've moved on. What are you going to do for you? So my birthday was coming up and I said, you know what? I'm going to gift myself a trip to Atlanta. And I started to create this bucket list of all the things that I wanted to do. And the reason why I chose Atlanta is because I remember raising my children, how all my friends, they was out partying, traveling, they didn't have kids. They was going to Freaknik and all these places, and they were telling me how amazing Atlanta was. And because I had never gone, I said, now I'm going to start to go to the places that I've always wanted to go to, but never thought that I could afford it, never had the time because I was working so much and I had my boys, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't do the things that my friends were doing. So that year, which was 2016, I bought myself a ticket to Atlanta. And I went to Atlanta, you guys, and I remember the major culture shock that I felt from the moment I got off the plane. I felt like I was in another world. Everybody was black. The pilot was black. The stewardess were black. The staff in the airport were black. There were black people sitting and waiting to get on their flights. And I just remember walking through the airport and I'm looking around and I'm like, wow. And don't get me wrong, there are black people in Las Vegas, but the black people in Atlanta, Georgia is a different kind of black. Okay? So I remember walking through that airport and I was just in awe, just looking around, just taking it all in. And then when I got out of the airport to my rental car, got my rental car, put my little GPS on, and I'm driving to my hotel. And then I could see the birds, how bright they were. First of all, everything was green, big trees, there were red cardinals, there were bluebirds. I was seeing deer on the side of the road. It was like somebody had turned on the lights for me. Like literally turned on the lights where I could see clearer, but also turned on the lights inside of me. Like spirit had just flipped on the lights for me. And I was driving on that freeway and I thought immediately after I got in the car and I started seeing how bright everything was, how vibrant everything was, I was like, I am moving here. I'm moving to Atlanta. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know. All I knew is I had to move to Atlanta. So get to my hotel. I was only in Atlanta for 3 days for the weekend because I knew I had to get back to Las Vegas and go to work. But the moment I got back in Las Vegas, I could not shake the idea that I wanted to move to Atlanta, Georgia, right? It was just on me, heavy. I knew that I belonged there. Like I needed to be there. So I immediately went online and started to apply to jobs, all truck driving jobs. I applied to 4 jobs. Within a few days, all 4 of those jobs called me in for an interview. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Because you know how you plan something and you set out to do something, but you don't really think it's going to work, do you? You don't really think that you are able to accomplish this thing, right? I didn't really think that it would happen or it would unfold as quickly as it was unfolding. So they called me for interviews, and I remember hopping on the phone with these companies. And I keep in mind, I had just left Atlanta. I had just gifted myself a birthday gift to go there and just check it out. I loved every moment of it. I loved the people. I loved the food. I loved the weather. It was just, everything was perfect. And when they started to call me in for an interview, it was almost as if when I got on the phone with these companies, I was trying to talk them out of inviting me for the interview. And they were like, oh, yeah, we received your resume. We want you to come in for the interview. And I was like, well, I don't really live in Atlanta. I'm in Las Vegas. And they were like, well, when you coming to Atlanta? And I was like, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. And they were like, look, We want to set the interview with you, all of the companies. So the first one set the precedent, right? They were like, we want to set the interview with you. If you cannot make it, then give us a call. But can you come in a week? And I was like, okay. So back to back, they were calling me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to set these interviews up within another 3 day span. And when I hung up the phone with this last company who had invited me for the interview, I was thinking, man, what if I go all the way back to Atlanta and they don't hire me? I can't really afford to go to Atlanta. I got to take time off my job again. I already spent money. I just went to Atlanta. I had to get a hotel. I had to get a rental car. Now I'm going to have to do this all over again. And what if they don't hire me? And then I immediately switch my brain to thinking, what if they do? Because oftentimes what happens is we default to the worst that could happen, right? It ain't even happened, but we default to the what if it don't work out. We never default to this could be amazing if it works out. What if it works out? What if you win? We don't think about things like that. We immediately go into what if it don't work? What if it fails? What if I fail? But everything started to line up like perfectly when I decided I am moving to Atlanta. And those jobs called me back within a couple of days. And then I just said, you know what? I'm going to go for it again. I'm just going to throw this stuff on my credit card. So I bought me an airline ticket, threw it on my credit card. I threw the car rental on my credit card. I got the cheapest hotel that I could find, threw it on my credit card, and I went for it. And do you know, when I started going to these job interviews, they were hiring me on the spot. So I had no excuse anymore. I had no excuse for not following through with what my spirit was calling me to do. My GPS, I call it my God power system. You have the same GPS. You have the same God power, but you have to allow yourself to tap into it. You have to allow yourself to trust yourself enough to activate that thing. And how you activate it is you take the first step to follow it. So I went there and I got hired for each of those interviews that I had went on. They hired me on the spot. So now the next thing was, which one of these jobs am I going to take? So I went home within 3 days, and I remember posting on Facebook how, oh my God, I was just in Atlanta, posting my pictures from Atlanta and stuff. And somebody who had been following me for 5 years on Facebook, I didn't know this guy personally. He reached out to me. He was like, wow, you were in Atlanta? And I was like, yeah, I'm finna move to Atlanta. And he was like, when are you moving? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't know. Even when they hired me on the spot, the reason why I went there, I actually moved to Atlanta within 30 days of being hired on the spot because that first job, they gave me the paperwork, they gave me the drug test, and they gave me the background test. And they said, we're going to give you this now. Go ahead and get it done. You have to have, you have to be willing to start the job within 30 days, or you'll have to do these testings all over again. So now I had a timeline. 30 days, I have to be able to go to Atlanta to start this job. I had no excuse. I had no excuse. Now I have a job, right? So when this guy reached out to me, he was like, oh, you were in Atlanta? I wish I had known. I would have taken you out to dinner. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to move there. And he was like, well, where are you going to move? And I was like, I don't know. He was like, when are you going to move? I was like, I don't know. I hadn't even set it up yet. And he said, let me tell you something. I live in Atlanta. And if you need my help finding a place, you just send me the addresses and I'll go check out the places for you. So that's what I did. This complete stranger, I was sending this guy addresses to places that I was finding on Craigslist or wherever I was finding, Facebook Marketplace, and sending these addresses to this guy. And he was going after work to check out the places for me. He and I connected, and everything just started to roll. It was rolling really, really, really fast just by me taking that first step. I'm telling you all of this to tell you that that was the best move that I could ever make. I went to Atlanta, I moved there, I started a job. It was, the story gets so in depth because how I found my place was a trip. The guy that was looking for the places for me, I found one that I really wanted. The price was right, 2 bedrooms, it was everything that I needed. And I had him go look at it. And the landlord hit me back up and he was like, look, he was like, I just rented that today. He said, but I have a place in Smyrna that is the exact same, setup, same square footage, and the rent is the same. So if you want to check that one out, then you're welcome. So I sent my friend that I just met on Facebook to go check that place out. And he checked it out. He said, yeah, this is the one. He said, and what's crazy is it's right around the corner from where I live. I live in Smyrna. I didn't even know anything about this guy, right? He said, I live in Smyrna and it's right around the corner from where I live. So I immediately knew, like, God, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. He was making sure that I was looked after, and he was letting me know that he had his hand on me. He had his hand on me, and all I had to do was just follow the steps, because every time I took a step, there was another step that I could see. Everything was just like kind of laid out for me. Long story short, I wound up moving to Atlanta, starting my job, doing my thing, building my businesses to the point where I was like, you know what? I've been doing the same thing in Atlanta, going to a job just like I was in Las Vegas, being unfulfilled. Why am I doing the same thing? I'm in a new city. This is a new start. It was the beginning of the year. And I rolled the dice on myself and I went hard with my skincare business. That's what I was doing at the time. I had a skincare business. And I was meeting other entrepreneurs. They were willing to help me, like bring your products in my store. Like everything was perfect until it wasn't. Until I got scared. Until I was like, this is too perfect. Everything is just working. Where's the struggle in it? So I went out and I said, you know what? I need a job because that's what I'm used to. Yeah, the business was working, but what if it stops? What if it stops working? What if things fail? I need a job. So child went and got me a truck driving job. And I was working that job. And I remember one day being at that job. And in the morning we would have our morning meetings. And I'm looking around in that room and I noticed like my senses were like on point. Everything, like my spirit was, everything was just like, I was so raw. I was feeling everything. And I was looking around that room, and everybody in that room, in that morning meeting, I was the only female working for this company. Everybody in that meeting had issues. They had some sort of problems, some sort of marriage problems, some sort of health problems. They was bickering and arguing amongst each other. And I'm just looking around the room and I'm just checking out everybody. And I'm like, everybody in here is fucked up. And then I stopped and I checked myself and I said, Mo, but you sitting in the room with them. You're only as strong as the people that you surround yourself with. And that's even on the job. And that's when I knew like this working shit is not for me. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I started to look at myself when I was looking at everybody else in that room, and I'm like, damn, all these men are fucked up. Married men trying to get at me. You know what I'm saying? Then they arguing amongst each other because they fighting over me and I ain't with none of them. I was like, this is a fucked up situation. But I needed that. I needed to see that. I needed to feel that because that's when I realized you are sitting amongst these people. So you ain't no better than them. And I started to think every day, like, okay, what do I want? Like, I came, I saw, I conquered. Atlanta is amazing. The people are amazing, but I still feel unfulfilled. What do I want? And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around. Again, I told you I was feeling everything. I was feeling everything. I was tapped into my GPS. And I'm looking around my condo and I'm thinking to myself, this is a really nice place. This is a really beautiful place. But this ain't it. This is not it. There has to be more to life than this. Going to a job every day, paying bills. Just I had just really only been in Atlanta. It was 3 years, but it felt like I hadn't even gotten to know the place because I went into that survival mode that we're always in. I went into that struggle mode. I went into that run, run, run mode. Even though things were being laid out for me, I didn't go with that momentum. I went with the momentum of my own human self. Like, no, things are too perfect. Let me get out there and grind because if I'm not grinding, I'm not doing it right. And I did that until I just couldn't do it no more. I was like, no, there has to be more to life than this. And as I was sitting there on that Sunday evening, I got the Sunday scaries. Y'all know the Sunday scaries when the weekend is winding down and you got to go back to them folk job. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, it's 9 o'clock in the evening. I got to go back to them folk job in the morning. What do I want for myself? This is just not, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. I'm not here to just be working every day and not really living a fulfilled life. There has to be more to life than this. And I was sitting there and my laptop was on the desk next to the couch in my living room. And the next thing I know, I was surfing on the web, just surfing, wound up on Expedia. I don't know how I ended up on Expedia.com. I had $647 in my checking account, and I came across a ticket for Bali, Indonesia, a one-way ticket, 638. I don't know how I ended up there. I'd never even been to Bali, never knew anything about Bali, never knew anyone who had been to Bali. But my spirit was calling me to book that ticket, and I was thinking, okay, this is all the money that I have in my checking account, and I got to pay my car payment. And then I thought to myself, because we always default to the negative, right? I thought to myself, if you buy this ticket, you're not going to need a car. Where you going, honey? Don't worry about that car. Girl, fuck that car payment. And I booked a one-way ticket to a country I had never been or known anything about. And you know, once you go and you start looking for shit, then you get caught up in the algorithm, right? So things started coming up about Bali. That's when I learned about Bali. Not because I had already known, I was just following my spirit. My spirit was so strongly saying, book this ticket. And I booked the ticket with all the money that I had. And when I booked that ticket, I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, we've done it. My ticket was to leave in 30 days. So I was excited to go to work the next day. I was ready to go to work the next day. I was willing, and I couldn't wait to get off work. I remember going to work on that Monday morning and working the whole day, and I couldn't wait to get off work because I knew that I was going to go home, take pictures of all of my things, and put it on Let Go, put it on Craigslist, put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I was moving to another country. I was moving. I didn't think about, oh, but what about your kids? I didn't think about, what about your job? I didn't think about nothing. I followed my spirit. My spirit was leading me there. And it was perfect timing. It was perfect timing because the moment I went to the airport and I handed the lady my boarding pass, she looked at the date and she was like, oh, 02/02/2020. And I thought to myself, 02/02/2020, that was the same numbers going forward as it was going backwards. That's a palindrome. Again, I didn't know anything about that, but I was just going through my whole spiritual awakening. I had moving to Atlanta put me into like this heightened sense of spirituality where I started to follow my spirit. I followed my spirit to go to Atlanta. I followed my spirit to book that one-way ticket to Bali, Indonesia. And everything was perfect when I was paying attention to it. I'm telling you this story because your spirit is calling you to do something bigger, something better, something more. You may not know what it is right now, but it's because you have to learn how to activate your God processing system. You have to learn how to tap into that thing. It's calling you, it's saying, come here, come this way, come this way. But because we get so scared and we put our foot on the brake and we're halting and we're thinking, no, this don't make sense. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to be guided by our spirit. Everything is always working out for us. Sometimes we just need to trust it. I wanted to tell you this story to inspire you to trust your GPS. It is calling you, it's directing you. You're feeling that angst, you're feeling that pull, you're feeling that stress in your body. You up at night, your heart is pounding, your chest is hurting. Everything is pissing you off. You're sad, you're depressed, all of the things because your spirit knows where you need to go and you got your foot on the brake. So I don't know what that is for you. I didn't know that I needed to move to another country. When I moved to the country and got off the plane, guess what? That's when the big virus hit. I was being preserved. I was being picked up from where I was in this unhappy space and put over here and preserved in this peaceful space where I could think, where I could heal, where I could grow, where I could understand that my life is supposed to be easy. My life is not supposed to be run, 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 anxious, on high alert all the time. We're not supposed to be living like that. We're supposed to be living, but we be so busy doing everything. Doing. We are not human doings, we are human beings. But if you don't give yourself permission to follow your GPS, you will miss it every time. So, yeah, I wanted to share that with you because I wanted this to be the reminder for you that you already know. You already feel that call. You already feel that pull. You are already in it. You already see how things are evolving and lining up for you. But when it comes time for you to take the step in the direction that you need to go, you are busy with your foot on the brake and you won't let it go. Trust yourself. The more you begin to exercise your GPS, the more you will master it, the more your life begins to line up for you. If you are someone who need some guidance. You need that support. You need somebody to walk you through and help you carve out your journey with you. I am encouraging you. You can click the link and you can book a badass breakthrough call with me. I'll be there to support you and just remind you on a one on one basis what you already know. But in the meantime and in between time, until the next time you be fit, be fierce. Be fabulous. Healthy is the new sexy. Bye, y'all.